What makes you, you? Is it your memories, your thoughts, the physical matter that makes up your body? These questions have puzzled philosophers for millennia, and today we're going to explore one of the most fascinating thought experiments ever devised, the Ship of Theseus, and how it relates to the very nature of human consciousness. But this isn't just about ancient Greek philosophy. It's about understanding who we are at the most fundamental level and what it means to remain ourselves in a constantly changing universe. The paradox goes like this. Imagine a famous ship, the ship of the legendary hero Theseus. Over many years of sailing, its wooden planks begin to rot and need replacement. One by one, each piece is carefully removed and replaced with new material. Eventually, after years of maintenance, every single original piece has been replaced. The question is it still the same ship? If not, at what point did it stop being the original Ship of Theseus? This isn't just an abstract puzzle. We see this process happening all around us. Cities transform while maintaining their identity. Buildings are renovated while keeping their historical status. But nowhere is this paradox more relevant than in understanding ourselves. Here's something remarkable. Nearly every cell in your body is replaced over time. Your skin cells last about 2 weeks. Your red blood cells about 4 months. Even your bones are continuously being broken down and rebuilt. And your brain, the very organ you're using to contemplate this paradox, is no exception. While neurons themselves are more stable, the proteins and molecules that make them work are in constant flux. The physical matter that makes up your thoughts is being replaced all the time. Think about it. You are not physically the same person you were as a child. Every atom that made up your young self has been replaced multiple times over. Yet somehow you maintain a continuous sense of being you. Some philosophers compare consciousness to a river. From a distance, a river appears to be a single, continuous entity. But up close, you see that the water molecules making it up are constantly changing. What gives the river its identity isn't the specific water, but the pattern of flow. Similarly, your consciousness might be less about the specific atoms and molecules in your brain, and more about the pattern of information flow they maintain. Like the Ship of Theseus, the materials change while the form remains. But there's another layer to consider. Unlike the Ship of Theseus, we don't just replace our physical parts. We also accumulate new experiences and memories. Each day, your brain forms new neural connections, strengthens some memories, and lets others fade. These changes aren't just maintenance, they're transformation. You're not just replacing old parts with identical new ones, you're constantly rebuilding yourself into something slightly different. Yet somehow there's still a thread of continuity that makes you recognizably you. In the digital age, this paradox takes on new relevance. When you back up your computer's data, copy it to a new device, or upload it to the cloud, what happens to its identity? Is a perfect copy of your data still your information? These questions aren't just philosophical anymore. As we develop more sophisticated artificial intelligence and consider the possibility of digitizing human consciousness, the Ship of Theseus paradox becomes increasingly relevant to our future. There's also a social dimension to consider. Our identities aren't formed in isolation. They're shaped by our relationships, our culture, and our interactions with others. Like the Ship of Theseus, we are maintained not just by physical replacement, but by our connection to a larger context. Think about how your personality, beliefs, and values have been shaped by others. Are you the same person in different social contexts? How much of your identity is maintained by the recognition and expectations of those around you? Modern neuroscience gives us new ways to think about this ancient paradox. We can now watch thoughts form in the brain, track the formation of memories, and understand how neural patterns maintain continuity, even as individual neurons change. Scientists have discovered that our memories aren't stored in individual neurons, but in patterns of connections between them. This might explain how we maintain a continuous sense of self despite constant physical change. It's the pattern that matters, not the particles. In today's world, we maintain multiple identities: professional, personal, digital, physical. Like the Ship of Theseus, each of these identities is constantly being maintained and rebuilt. We update our social media profiles, change our appearance, develop new skills, and evolve our personalities. Yet somehow we maintain a sense of coherent identity across all these changes. Is this because there's some essential self that remains unchanged? Or is our sense of continuous identity itself an illusion, a story we tell ourselves to make sense of constant change? Perhaps the most profound aspect of this paradox is that it challenges our very notion of identity over time. Unlike the Ship of Theseus, we don't just replace old parts, we grow, learn, and evolve. Each experience changes us slightly, making us both the same person we were and someone entirely new. Like a butterfly emerging from its chrysalis, we undergo transformations that raise questions about continuity and change. Are you the same person you were 10 years ago? Will you be the same person 10 years from now? The Ship of Theseus paradox doesn't give us easy answers about the nature of identity and consciousness. Instead, it invites us to question our assumptions about what makes us who we are. Perhaps what makes us us isn't any fixed essence, but rather our capacity for both change and continuity. Like the ship, we are both eternal and ever-changing, maintaining our identity not through static preservation, but through constant renewal. As you continue your own journey of transformations, remember, every moment you are both the same person you've always been and someone entirely new. And maybe that's not a paradox at all. Maybe that's exactly what it means to be human.